Welcome back to the Prairie Shepherd. My name is Ben. I'm here with Grim. And you might be wondering why I'm sitting outside on an iron bench in the cold. Well, last night was our first fall of snow in Iowa that actually stuck, and it is 17 below and absolutely freezing. But this is the perfect opportunity to talk with people about something very important, and that is keeping active in the winter and how your dog is going to react to that first fall of snow. So stay tuned and let's get into it. So with the first fall of snow is always an interesting time, because when we get out there and it's like absolutely freezing, the first thing you're going to want to think is, I do not feel like getting out here in the snow. And that's perfectly fine. Not everybody's going to be super ecstatic just to go run outside and go dive straight into the snow, right? So cool, but we have to get out there and get active so our dogs can be healthy, so we can get that time to release some cortisol, so they can get some time to release some cortisol, so they're not full of frustration and pent up when they go outside. When they're in the house, you never want that to happen. So when we step outside with our dogs, you're going to notice some things. You're going to notice a couple of things, whether your dog has been socialized to the snow or not, and when you go and you get out into that snow and it's for the first time, you might notice that your dog doesn't want to stick its paws in the snow. But I'm going to tell you something, even as a puppy, it's very important to have your dog actually put its paws in the snow, actually get out there and to experience it. Now, if you keep your dog and shelter them away from the snow and don't let them go out there and be rambunctious and just play in the outdoors and those elements, what's going to happen is over time, you're going to have a dog that's afraid to go in the snow, and it's going to question whether or not it should be outside in the cold. And you don't want that, because anything can happen. You might have to go out in the snow, and to have a dog that doesn't even want to go out to use the bathroom is going to create some problems. Now, I know a lady who she did not, I'm going to say she was lazy. I'm just going to say it. She did not want to take her dog out into the snow. She didn't want her dog to use the bathroom in the snow. She was very particular about it. So what she did was she bought a grass rug, like mat made out of plastic grass, put it inside of her house so the dog can use the bathroom on the grass mat, and put puppy pads down. Now, I'm thinking this puppy pad thing is, maybe it's a new type of phase, but it wasn't a thing when I was coming up. And you got a lot of people using these puppy pads. And this can be a big problem. You have to think about it. Dogs have an extreme sense when it comes to smell. And when that dog uses the bathroom on that puppy pad, you can best believe that it's splashing other places inside of your house or apartment. It is getting on that carpet or those wood floors, and that dog can smell that. It takes special chemicals to clean up urine, vinegar being one of them. And sometimes, people don't get all that up. And sometimes you don't even notice when your dog is using the bathroom in the house, because they're very good at hiding it. And they can hold a lot of urine. You'd be surprised how much urine a dog can actually hold. So you never want to do that. And to prevent that from happening, a good thing to do is just to teach your dog to go out in the snow and recognize that it's not going to be a terrible thing. So she didn't have that dog long. The dog ended up going to a shelter because she simply just didn't want to put the work in that was required to take care of the dog. And it was a small dog, and actually, honestly, probably a very low maintenance one. So that happens. There's also people I've seen where they'll put a rug down in the snow to try to get rid of the snow, so when they pick the rug up, it's a clean spot of grass for them to use the bathroom. This is also a bad idea. This is reinforcing the idea that snow is not okay and you shouldn't be in it. But your dog needs to go out there. Unless your dog has a medical condition to where it can't stick its paws in the snow, or it has some sort of condition where it can't go outside, or reason from a vet, or something serious that it can't go outside in the cold, you should let that dog go out in the cold. If it's a short-haired dog, you should monitor it being out in the cold, but you should let your dog explore and roam. We know that, the world is a scientific playground for dogs. Why squander it of that opportunity to be out there in the cold? I'm sorry, your dog isn't as soft as you are. Your dog's ready to get down and get dirty and be an animal. That's just what they do because that's the biology of them. So give them the opportunity to explore. Now, you might see that your dog is very well socialized to the cold. And if that's true and you've been doing your training properly and taking your dog out, you're going to notice that your dog loves to be in the snow, especially if it's a long-haired dog, especially if it's a dog that, likes being out in the winter. Especially German Shepherds that have a double coat, they love to be out in the snow. So there's some things that you have to look out for. That dog is going to go out there and they are going to be rambunctious. They're going to want to play in the snow. They're going to want to be in the cold quite a bit. It's like when it's hot out, we don't like that. But when it's hot out, like the dogs, they don't like that. But when it's cold out, they love it. And it's the opposite for us, right? When it's hot out, we love it. When it's cold out, we dread it. But, we still got to get out there and train. When your dog goes out there in that snow and it's having the time of its life, there's some things that you got to look out for. Because believe it or not, German Shepherds are a dog breed that actually ends up with hypothermia quite a bit from being out in the cold too long. A lot of people believe that they could just leave their dogs chained up in the backyard and have them in that type of dog prison and they can just be okay. But it's not true, especially in colder climates. In Iowa, our climate is very similar to Germany. And that's interesting because German Shepherds thrive well here. But you still can't leave your dog out in the cold. So there's some things to look out for. Let's say you're playing outside, right? And your dog is starting to show signs that it's cold. It's shivering, it's waiting by the door. That's the time to let your dog in. Dogs have discernment. Dogs understand situations. Dogs understand their bodies and they are able to listen to themselves. They know when it's time to go inside. They know when it's getting too cold. And, there's some dogs that will be excited and just want to work and work and work and work. They also know as well. So you have to watch for those signs. You have to watch for those signs so you can make sure that your dog is okay and your dog is protected. So that's the first thing. Making sure that you're watching for those signs, right? Being very well aware of that, especially if they're outside and, they got that double coat. They might not even notice that they're getting cold like that. Just check in on them. But don't be such a helicopter that you're trying to make sure the dog is okay all the time. There's a limit. There's a point of being extreme, and we don't want to reach that point. So once you get those signs down, once you notice when your dog is cold, your dog's ready to go inside, it's had enough. The second thing is to do some observation when you get inside. You want to check their paw pads, check in between their paw pads for any icicle buildup because it will be there. If they're digging their face in the snow and they're going in the snow like that, there's going to be some icicle buildup. And then you're going to want to check their ears because that snow getting in their ears can bother them. I've seen where dogs' ears get really red from like a type of ear infection from, being out inside of the cold for so long and getting water just trapped inside of their ears. You want to make sure that that's taken care of. If you have a husky, they're cold animals, but it's still the same thing. And they'll stay out there for hours on end. You got to get out there and train in the cold. It's just what it is. So just make sure that you're taking care of your dog. You're checking it. And then the last thing that's very important during this time is nutrition. I've seen so many dogs chained up in backyards and side of the cold, and they don't even have proper meals really. And you could tell because you can clearly see their ribs very defined, and not in a healthy way. Like they are looking sick. And a lot of this is due to lack of exercise and lack of nutrition. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're feeding our dogs the best that we can. Not everybody can afford a raw meat diet, regardless of what people say it being cheap. It's not cheap everywhere, and prices have gone up. We don't all live in the country. Meat's expensive. So if you have to get the kibble, if that's the best way to feed your dog and the best way to do things, especially if you have multiple dogs, get the kibble, but make sure that you're getting a high quality kibble. Don't settle for something with a lot of fillers. You'll start to see a lot of problems come up. So, get that kibble, make sure it's high in, the things that you need. That chicken breasts work very well. Chicken breast is perfect for joints. It's perfect for a dog's health. Bones also help cleaning those teeth. you know, getting some of that calcium, that marrow in there. A lot of things, even chicken gizzards, I recommend. Some beef every now and then, you know. Make sure you're watching their portions. Don't overfeed them. Feed them some of that food. Give them a little bit of egg now and then and some olive oil in their food, and they should be great, you know. And they'll thank you for it in the long run, for keeping up with their health and making sure that they are protected. This has been from the Prairie Shepherd. I'm here with Grim. He's chilling out right now. He's about to go home and probably collapse and go to sleep. Thank you for joining us here. Stay warm. Peace.